So here's the deal. There's a lot of discussion around in America in 2020, what is this, February 10th, around socialism. Now, personally, I think America has enough socialism. Welfare, Social Security, and that was all Medicare. And of course, I could hear the people rumble, we'll all benefit. Yes, but it's the bigger picture you have to look at. It's not this binary reaction to we all will benefit is not smart if you are spiritual practitioners. And I know that flies in the face of help your brother and we are our brother's keeper and all this stuff. In a recent past, I have come up against my own background and training to where my own Swamiji ends his magnificent book, Inspirational Talk, saying, I am a socialist. And I realized that I need to address that because many people, by their nature, will just take things at face value and not realize that Swamiji especially is always calculated and speaking to people who, what, and where. What is the context? It's the late 1800s or mid-1800s, late 1800s. Socialism had never been activated before. He's responding to his own egoic personal response of being in India where there's a caste system. His family was poor. His mom was losing faith in God. He had to help his family. He was sick of people saying, where are you, God, man? Where's your faith in God? You're worried about your family. He was sick of it. He's like, don't talk to me about that. Where's the bread? Then talk to me about God. I get all that. But you have to take in the whole consideration of what was he speaking to. When he spoke to Rockefeller and said, this is not your money, sir. He was trying to educate Rockefeller. He wasn't saying it was wrong to be a capitalist and you must give all your money away. He was saying use your money consciously. If he was alive now and saw the repercussions of minimal socialism in America, that has helped some. Some people have benefited from food stamps, very people close to my heart, and they got off food stamps. Everyone hits a rough road. But if he saw the abuse of Venezuela and he saw its uses in other countries and communism in other countries, he'd be appalled. Swamiji was not about abusing another person to uplift yourself. When he said, let all day dogs have their day at the end of Inspired Talks, he may have been speaking of his own personal egoic human ego reaction to the caste system of India and the subjugation of extreme capitalism, or if you will, or whatever word you want to use in America and the Western world. But if he saw the degradation and the misuse of it and making other people now responsible for your behavior and your life and your value and your sense of purpose, he'd be appalled. He would not be, and I go out on a limb, I would never say that I know what Swamiji would do. But I do know a part of the Swamiji that I know. I would say humbly the part that I know would never want a man to feel responsible for another man in the way of guilt and shame. When he said that, he was speaking to people at Thousand Island Park were like neo-communist socialists. Of course, they're always wealthy. Why is it that always the wealthy, they're always the socialists that get it going? Is it their own guilt and shame? It doesn't matter. But knowing Swamiji, he's always said many things off the cuff in a moment of complete focus and to the people he was speaking to. When he said that in America all those years ago, he was speaking to that We are one. We are unified at the highest level, not at the persona, not at the personality, not at the secular level. At the highest Niguna Brahman level, are we one? That's Brahman without form. But we are not the same at the personal level. And you can argue me with there. I saw Swami give a talk the other day where I honestly was heartbroken to hear him say that he was on board with this idea that every dog has its day. And I'm like, what is he saying to his congregation? I have to say, it took me a week to sort of recover. And that's not my business to interpret this Swami, but it was my business to take it into my heart and realize, well, what am I going to do with this translation? And this is a very gentle Swami who's very conscious. I thought, why would this man be saying this? To make another person responsible for you and to cause violence and tear down and other people's destruction for your behavior, or lack of behavior, or lack of ability. This is not the caste system. And I could hear some people in America going, no, it's a caste system. No, not anymore. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I don't buy it that there's a caste system for women, for race, for sexual, whatever preference. There's no excuse anymore. No, there's not. I'm a woman. And I am all, whatever you want to call me. But if you are a spiritual practitioner, you've got to raise above the race, the caste, all this conversation. And yes, it has been confusing for me to translate my own tradition. In this case, Swami Vivekananda's last statement inspired talks. But once I pulled back and realized, wait, the time and the space and who he was speaking to, it makes sense. Nothing of socialism or communism had ever been happened before. He was a very inspired, reactive, impassioned speaker who was speaking to the people that needed to hear it. But I know for one, I stand alone if no one supports me. Swamiji would never want another person depending on another human being for anything. Swamiji would never. Well, I'll stand alone. I don't care who's against me. I don't care what Swami. I don't care what enlightened being is against me. Swamiji would never want any human being to be dependent on anything. Anything. So slow the F down and consider your sources and take the time to figure out who and what is speaking to. Take the time. Don't just rip out quotes and use it for your own good. I have to say, I think there is an arm of my tradition who believes in leftist values. I do not. I am not throwing anything to the curb. I am not throwing me to the curb. I'm not throwing anything to the curb. And I know there are swamis and teachers in my tradition who are also more conservative. But I do not believe that I am my brother's keeper in that way. And I will stand alone on the edge of this. Do not tell a poor person who's starving that to believe in God. Yes, no, I don't buy that either. That's hateful. But don't placate them and tell them that they can have anything that they want and they don't need to work. And don't tell someone because they're a certain color that they're okay and they're better and they don't have to do something. And don't tell somebody just because they like a certain sexuality that they don't have to participate or that they're okay. And don't tell a bunch of other people who you perceive as being the capitalist superior race of the fucking century that they're shitbirds. That's all fucked up. Like I'm speaking to the spiritual practitioner. I'm speaking to so-called spiritual practitioners. If you are a spiritual practitioner, you are trying to transcend your bias. You are trying to send your fucking addiction to the secular world. Pay attention, like we always say, sit in the back row, enjoy your commentary, enjoy your opinion. But hot diggity fucking God, yeah, I was pissed at Swamiji. I had to sit with him for a couple weeks, pissed at him. What the fuck did you do that at the end of your goddamn inspired talks? Are you fucking serious, Swamiji? Then I had took a week. I thought, I didn't know what was going to happen. And the deeper lesson here is not what I'm saying. It's about how to deal with your chosen ideal, your people that you worship, your avatars, your teachers. Don't be afraid to be mad. Don't be afraid to get upset. I knew Swamiji could handle it. In fact, I knew he was very happy that I questioned it. He was speaking to a crowd at a certain time. And who are we? And he would be the last person to say that we are the ones who should construct someone's karma or know what someone should have to live through. Let every dog have his day. That was a very impassioned statement. Swamiji says these things once in a while. That takes time to reflect. What the hell does that mean? Most of the time, with all due respect, because I grew up with Swamiji from a very young age, that means reflect on your shit, which is what he said with Rockefeller. This is not your money. He was saying it's God's money. Use it consciously. Let every dog have its day, meaning you'll get yours? No, it means you've already gotten yours, and what you've done, you've reserved. You deserved. He was saying, take notice. It was the ultimate act of pay attention. He was saying, pay attention. Every dog has his day, meaning you're high on the horse, and the next day you're going to fall. I choose to look at it this way. I don't choose to look at him as advocating, quote unquote, socialism. It makes people weak. It makes people dependent. It makes people posers. The people who give the money to support socialism and then they drain it. The middle class is destroyed. And then you have no people that make money and no one to pay the fees or the rates or anything like that. And yeah, you could say this is personal. I don't give a fuck. I'm not just thinking about myself. I'm thinking about everybody. I'm thinking about the vet. I'm thinking about the guy down the street who runs a fucking pop and a cafe shop. I'm thinking about the dry cleaner guy. Oh, well, we don't need all that shit. Okay, well, good luck with that. Get off your fucking high horse. I think Swamiji would be in my fucking camp on this ride, this round. You take out the people who pay the taxes? Yeah, you get dick. You don't get dick. And if I flipped my hat around and said, well, then it would make people think about God, well, not necessarily in this culture. In India, that was one thing. But even his own mother, Vivekananda, who was a devout Indian Hindu, when she became his dad died, she became so poor and so desolate, and he felt burdened to take care of them because that's their way that they are. She started losing her faith. But still, the Hindu poor person has faith in God than the American or Western culture. You don't want to see the American Western culture lose faith in God. You want to develop the faith in God. My point is that we have such a beautiful culture with all its scabs and all its history. Everything. The freedom for me to sit here and blab about this and not have someone break down the doors. Can you find God being poor and disrupt because you're so desperate that you are driven to think about the highest? Absolutely. Can you be driven to think about God because you have everything and you've bottomed out and nothing satisfies you? Absolutely. It doesn't matter. These are all human constructs to keep us addicted to this planet. I'm just asking everybody to think about shit. Don't just jump onto a quote and then bang everybody against the head with it. Think about it. What's the context? Who's saying it? What's the year? What's the history? That goes for everything. America is not evil. America is made up of human beings, just like every country. So those of you who blame America for everything, who still think it's evil, well, you need to look to yourself. You know what makes America awesome? Is that we continue to learn. We're one of the few countries who had no women voting. And then we amended that. We had slavery, and we amended that. Don't tell me America's fucked. You look at the history of every country. You tell me who's perfect. You people who want forgiveness in your life, who want respect. The reason why you can ask for that is because of the country you live in. Take a look at your goddamn history. I do not know who's been teaching you about this country. We have a very dark history, but you tell me which country does not, because it's made up of human beings. And any person who cannot forgive and accept the past of another human being, well, too bad for you. You probably have the shittiest relationships ever. You're never happy, you're never satisfied, and you're always expecting more. And that just gets projected on a country. So good luck with that. Hari Om Tat Sat. Here, I'll end with the practice of the presence of God by Brother Lawrence. That the most excellent method he had found of going to God was that of doing our common business without any view of pleasing men, and as far as we are capable, purely for the love of God. Stop trying to find your happiness here. Lose your faith in people and love God. This is for all who want to hear. This is not for everybody. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, Swamiji. Good night.